Hey, what's up everybody, it's Kaza. I have been thinking about some things here. You know, people are always all like, I don't think climate change is real. Or greenhouse gases, fake. I don't think so. Nuh-uh, I'm not buying it. Or I'm thinking, well maybe they are real, but I'm not emitting any, right? Wrong! Wrong. If you want to really get this figured out, because you're not quite trusting the science, that I have come up, or at least thought of, some experiments that you guys can do. Now, hold on a second. It does take some instrumentation that you may not have. So you need to probably be in a school, or borrow some from a teacher. But here's what I've got. Okay. Now, what was I gonna say? So real quick, think about ways that you could test this out yourself. Like, pause the video now. Pause it while I'm doing this. Pause the video now! Pause it! Okay, so now that you've thought of maybe some ideas on how to test this, I have an idea for you. Oh man, I just broke right there. First, you need to have some way to capture your CO2, where you need to put it. I chose this nice Christmassy jar. Christmas! We need to have multiple jars like this. Multiple jars, because multiple jars will show us what's going on. One jar, no CO2, just regular atmosphere. By no CO2, I mean a regular atmosphere. Regular atmosphere. First, we need to take a reading of the CO2 in the jar. Take the reading in CO2 jar. Okay, we get an initial value. Obviously, find the temperature beforehand. Temperature beforehand. Another jar. Another jar is going to have extra CO2. Right? Find the temperature of both jars. Temperature of this jar, temperature of this jar. Find the amount of CO2 in both jars. CO2, CO2. Want to see that again? CO2, CO2. Once you have both of your CO2s, we add some light to both jars. Both jars. Adding light, light, shine, shine on my CO2. And I need to keep on measuring the temperature. Measure the temperature, measure the temperature. What you're going to be doing the entire time is collecting data. That data is going to show the temperature amount and the amount of CO2 and time. So one graph will have a lot of CO2, another graph not much, and hopefully through time you'll see something happen to the temperature of both. I hope you're going to see some sort of correlation between the amount of CO2 and the temperature, right? Hopefully temperature does something different between both. Now, like any good experiment, you really have to repeat this many times. Multiple samples, multiple trials, have a control. Is there always light shining down on all parts of the earth? No. No! Collect it for a while after you remove the light. Yeah, collect data. Keep that thermometer in there. No light. You would expect the temperature to go back down, right? But will it be the same for both? I don't know. I don't know. There's got to be some better ways of getting CO2 into this jar than you breathing into it, right? Breathe into it. Breathe into it, Kiva. Yeah, right here. Come on, Sadie. Breathe into it. Come on. Right there. Exhale. There. Double breathe. Come on. Double CO2. Come on. Do it. Do it. Double CO2. That's just silly. That's a dumb. Better ways to get CO2. Quick, think about it. Pause the video. Pause. Okay, you didn't pause it, but that's alright. Better ways. Obviously, dry ice. Dry ice. It's frozen carbon dioxide. Put some in there, let it do its thing, fill up the container, check it with your probe, check the temp, go to town. I know that dry ice is made out of CO2, you don't have to tell that to me. But when I burn my automobiles or my gas stove or anything, I'm pretty sure that I think that you're full of it. There's no CO2 coming out of that. What? Fire! Okay, so this probably would be best at school, right? Your teacher is going to have some sort of gas set up, natural gas set up, to be able to burn natural gas and collect the CO2 in your jar. Obviously, cap it, find your initial temperature, blah, 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 blah. The same exact thing that we did earlier. Just get a lot more CO2 in there and see what the effect is. You should be seeing different things on your graph, right? Well, I don't know. That's why we're doing this experiment. So what are the social contexts for all this stuff that we're talking about, this global changing? And hey, shut up! I'm trying to make a science video! So what's the deal socially with all these global warming ideas? Okay, let's list them up. Seawater rising, crops not growing quite right, habitats gone or changing, populations redistributed, more beach parties in Alaska, yeah! So think about those when you're thinking about global warming. It might be real. Hey, I'm not saying it's real. You're gonna figure that out for your own, on your own. Okay, that's all I have the time for. I'm getting really hot. And I gotta go. That's all.